or some very interesting verses in 1 John chapter 3 and 4. And the last set of verses I want to share is actually 1 Corinthians chapter 13. And Apostle Paul speaks on charity, which is another word for love. And throughout this chapter here that he wrote, he's going to speak on how charity, if it's absent, everything's in vain on his part. And starting in verse 1, he writes, "Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and have not charity, I am become as sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains and have not charity, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned and have not charity, it profiteth me nothing. Charity suffereth long and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up, doth not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not our own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth, beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. Charity never faileth, but whether there be prophecies, they shall fail, whether there be tongues, they shall cease, whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part, but when that which is perfect is come, then that which is in part shall be done away. When I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now we see through a glass, darkly, but then face to face. But now I know in part, but then shall I know, even as also I am known. And now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three, but the greatest of these is charity." And it's looking at that verse 13, Apostle Paul lists faith, hope, and charity, and he even states that of the three, charity is the greatest of the three. And we know that, how important faith is. We're saved by faith, by grace through faith, and without faith it is impossible to please God, as the Bible tells us. And the second one, hope, the Bible uses the word hope in most cases in a different sense than what we do today. Hope is, as we use it, it's an unassurity. But this hope in the Bible is an assurance. It's not a wish or a guess. When the Bible speaks of the return of Christ and speaks using that word hope, but it's an assured hope. It's an assurity. We put our hope in God, not wondering. We know that He is a God of His word, and He never backs away from it, and that we can count on Him. So again, out of those three, charity is the greatest. God is love, and again, the love fulfills all of the law, and we're to love God with our all and love our neighbors as we love ourselves. So that's very interesting that as great as all three of them are, Paul writes that is the greatest. And earlier in the chapter, Paul mentioning all these wonderful gifts, and without charity it's in vain. To have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries, all knowledge, have all faith. Without charity it profiteth nothing. Even in verse 3 he goes on to state that feeding the poor, giving his body to be burned, it profiteth him nothing without love. And people who are mad at love and want nothing to do with it, we're not speaking from a relationship sense. I understand there's people, they've been hurt and some of them never have had love, but it's a matter of not knowing God, especially as a Christian. If you're in Christ or claim to be in Christ and you want nothing to do with love when God is love, I ask you about in 1 Corinthians 13 verses 4 through 8. Of course, this is the love of Christ that we are to be manifesting, and not human love. While there's sincerity in some human love, there's people who are generous and caring and sharing they'll go all out for you and love you no matter what. But, it's the love of Christ that we're to be manifesting, and not our own human love. So, looking over those verses, this love that you had or didn't have, just to know what love is, look at verses 4 through 8. Did this love suffer long? Was it kind? Did it envy? Was it puffed up? Paul wrote that it endureth all things. The love of God is unconditional as far as, we keep his commandments and things. We can't earn God's love. So people, if it's not unconditional, it's not love. It's based upon circumstances. And verse 8 says, charity never fails. Love is God. God never, he doesn't fail. And that's why, we are to fight evil with love and not evil with evil. So, again, love endures all things and faileth not. It's very vital and essential in being of God, because we're taking on his characteristics. That work he said that he would do in us, that he started in us, he would finish. That is part of him making us into the image of Christ. It's taking on his nature, and God is love, and we will be loving one another, and loving God by keeping his commandments. So something very deep to think on. And those are just a few verses of many. This whole Bible is a love letter. God has given us all things that pertain to life and godliness, and through his word he has revealed that everything we need to know that pertains to life and godliness is in his word, and we have a spirit to guide us and lead us into all truth. That's love and sending his son. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. And Jesus Christ has stated that there's no greater love than that a man lay down his life for his friends. And we're his friends if we do whatever he says. So Christ indeed did lay down his life for us, and with love. He did it because he loved the Father. He kept his commandments, and he always did the Father's will. And he loved God's children. He didn't do it hatefully. Even when he was praying, right before he was to be betrayed, of course, he'd asked, is there another way? Then if there be another way, then let it be so. But your will be done, not mine. Because knowing what he's about to go through, all that persecution, he didn't deserve, but God's will be done. That was love, to lay down his life for us. It pleased the Father to bruise his son, because he loved us that much, and that was the only worthy atonement to take our place for sin. So, to deny that love, just like it says in John, we don't love God because of we loved him first, but because he first loved us. That alone, to give us life and reconcile us back to God, and to be God's, we should want to love and see how great love really is. But we have to separate the love of God from, the love of the world, how the world loves, and know what true love is, so we can appreciate it and want to give it, want to share and feed the poor and love our enemies. And I just want to encourage people to, there's people who don't know how to respond to love. They don't know what love is. And just remember that it's a blessing, to be persecuted for righteousness' sake, for Christ's name. And, love is patient. So even as we grow in love ourselves, we have to be patient with others. And remember, it's a spiritual battle. So bless those who persecute us. Again, there's people who don't know how to respond to it, and and they hate love. Some people aren't used to being loved, and they're asking for love, but they're going to the wrong people for it. And those who do love them, they don't know how to respond to it. It's weird to them because they're not used to it. But seek God on it. It's his strength, not ours. But something I'm working on. It's not that I'm just there, but I know it's very vital and essential. It's to come in Christ when we when we're in Christ that, we're going to manifest His love, and, others will know that we belong to Him as we love the brethren, as we love one another. So seek God on it, and I pray this video is a blessing to you. And love one another and love God with all we have, with His strength, asking God to help us to love Him and to love others, and nothing of our own self, but all glory to Him, relying on His strength. Everyone have a blessed, wonderful evening, a blessed, wonderful week, and love and God bless you all.